planned was not.
So what are you saying? You're going to delay it?
I'm sorry?
What are you saying? We're going to delay it?
I think it's unrealistic to have plant material in the ground for the 19th.
Okay.
I think that combined with the fact that it's hot during the month of August, it's not a great planting month, dealing with the conditions that we already have, which is somewhat of a finished areas. I mean, we're talking about finished landscape, finished asphalt, finished concrete walkways. You've got turf right now that's starting to grow in. Not a bad thing. Looks pretty good out there. It's clean. It's neat. I think you've got better opportunities to look at how you're going to execute this project as far as from a phase 1 to a phase 2 standpoint. I think that the execution of this project should be phase 1 would be looking at it for this fall when it's cooler temperatures. You look at during that phase 1 aspect, you look at preparing areas that are going to receive plant material in the springtime. Getting those areas prepared, which is going to be at a certain time frame, because there's areas where Carroll has in her landscape plan where there's going to be a fair amount of excavation required to put in adequate soils to support the plant material. That work can all be done during the fall, provided that the tree selection is available. We can install trees and shrubs, and also look at the construction of water features. Anything that's sort of site work related type activities that support the finished product could be accomplished this fall. That would allow you then in the springtime, after having the local suppliers provide us with the plugs for the perennials and ground covers, they can go in immediately in the springtime. So we get the best opportunity to take advantage of that springtime growth. And as well as in the fall, you can also do your irrigation rough-ins. So it's kind of a situation where you want to try to get as much accomplished as you can in the fall to prepare for springtime plantings. But I don't consider that phase 1 work being something that would be considered in August. I would think that we would be starting ideally somewhere at middle of September.
My initial comment would be that I don't want to delay this into next summer. The last date would be next spring, and the only reason I would agree with planting next spring is because of the ground cover. If we're going to schedule Bill Stockman, for example, to put a greenhouse full of some kind of ground cover that you want in the design, then that's one thing. But to delay it, I mean, we got money we have to spend, and we're not going to carry it over very long.
No, and I think and that's, I guess, the directive of my conversation is that do as much as you can this fall in preparation of being ready for the softer, smaller material that's going to be locally grown to be installed early in the springtime.
Okay.
So that you aren't, because if you delay the fall phase 1 material, and I'm not saying you will, but just conversation's sake, if you don't have all those areas prepped in the fall, then you're dealing in the springtime, you're still dealing with road bandings, et cetera, and plus the execution of those preparation areas, then planting after that, you're pushing planting down the road beyond what I think would be the ideal time. Fall is a great time to plant for woody plant material. It's awesome. And then prep all your areas, put your perennials in.
Do we know what's available to plant this fall?
I think that for the most part, I'm looking at the list, there's at least from my opinion, that there's adequate suppliers locally, what I consider locally, meaning the state of New Hampshire, to provide the material that we're looking for. We're very fortunate in the state of New Hampshire. We have a very good nursery group of suppliers. And one of the suppliers is actually probably one of the largest nursery commercial suppliers in the East Coast. There's 40 acres of material, and you can find anything in any size that you like.
Right, I'm looking at 2 nurseries, one in Barrington and one in Chichester, so that's about as close as really.
Yep, and the one in Chichester actually grows a fair amount of his own material in the state of New Hampshire.
Yeah, a lot of nurseries buy it in and resell it.
And sometimes that you have to deal with that in the commercial world, but certainly going out and looking at some of these, what nursery is out there that actually grows material in this state that we can then utilize. And I think that that's certainly something that would be of interest for me anyway.
So what do you think can be done this fall?
I think you can do trees, shrubs, those that are available. Looking at some of the trees, some may not be advisable to plant in the fall. Hemlock would be one that I would think of that would not be advisable to plant in the fall just because they're sensitive to wind, and this being Mountain View. Enough said. So preparation for planting beds that would have perennials and ground covers, because there's going to be excavation involved. Any sitting areas that require hardscape, water features, all that type of material can be done this fall.
And also retaining wall.
Yep, I'm sorry. Yep, the retaining wall work as well.
East side.
Yeah,
Terracing here.
I'm curious about that retaining wall, all walls. Where are they going?
Just the wall to replace the kind of structure that's there now on that sort of northeast side. You know what I mean? There is a retaining wall there now, and it was a construction wall, but it's, that was in the conceptual plan. We talked about making it more of a natural stone. And Craig from Belknap had asked about if there's any resources in terms of natural stone on the property that from excavation or anything like that, or close by. To use more of just a field stone wall rather than what's there. Yeah. And I had changed the design to kind of just cover more of the building and the symmetry, that it's sort of kind of over to one side now. And so those areas could also be worked this fall. Yeah, the entire memory garden, the path, the water feature could be constructed. Yeah, it's just, you know, and these trees you asked about availability, they're available the day that I got the quote, which is the 30th of July, and things move fast, or the 26th of July, actually. So whether we can find them in 3 weeks or a month, that's to be seen, or we can actually tag them. If we know we're going to install, we can tag them and hold them. And,
okay.
So that's...
Is there anything that can be planted before the 19th? Number one. Number two, what could be planted before the 30th, the end of the month, or when we open, when we have the ribbon cutting, which will be on the 10th of September? I sure would like to have something in the entrance of the new nursing home.
Yes.
That's where I would focus on your plant material as much as you're going to have there. And then the next would be on those two garden areas.
I would think that for your the 19th, is that accurate? The Friday the 19th, that
the 19th is more for
contractors.
Contractors. So I would I'd like to have something there for the 10th of September.
I thought it was the 13th, I'm sorry.
13th is move-in, ribbon cutting would be on a Saturday, the 10th. Be an open house on Saturday, starting, I think we talked about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
The ribbon cutting on Saturday, and then also a few hours on Sunday. For those people who can't make the open house on a Saturday, we'd have it available for tours on a Sunday, the following Sunday. Okay? But the move-in would be the 13th. And we sure don't want anything going on during the move-in to complicate the moving.
Well,
Can I respond to that?
Yes, I was going to refer to you anyway, because in terms of just damage control, or what could happen in terms of the new...
How often...
And the kinds of trucks you're bringing in.
There certainly is an opportunity to have something done for you by the 10th of September. What that is, I think I need to be given the opportunity to look at the final design, so that I can make sure that I'm not going to be putting cart before the horse concept here, where depending upon what preparation work needs to go on in certain areas to support the design, I don't want to go in there and put something in that I then have to take out to do that work. So I mean, just seeing where Carroll's moving with this and how quickly it's developing, I would say that we would have something for you that would make some areas look very presentable, and then other areas I would stay right out of it and let the grass do its thing, because I think that's going to be, once you move into an area and you start tearing it up, you want to start to finish. You don't want to, I don't want to see excavator tracks in the middle of the lawn area just to put one tree in so that we can say we have a tree in. I would prefer to look at some of the islands that are out there, the island that's in front of the entryway. I'm reasonably confident that would be an easy thing to execute. The big island that's that's outside of this building, that would be easy to execute. And there may be some other pocketed areas that we can possibly do some execution on as well. But the main area on the courtyards on each side of the main entranceway, there's a lot of work going on in there, a lot of work. You've got sitting areas that need to be established, which require excavation, gravels, pavement, et cetera, a lot of preparation work is going to be in those areas because there's a lot of perennial gardens in those areas and they need 12 to 18 inches of new soils. We can't expect the 4 inches of loam that's out there right now to support a perennial garden. It's not going to happen from a long-term standpoint. So having something that looks presentable and it looks like the ball is starting to roll forward for your 10th, I think is very realistic. What exactly that is, I'm not sure yet, but I can get back to you on it. But I would also caution you that we move very systematically on this so that it's cost effective and that we aren't trying to satisfy something just to get something in the ground.
Yeah.
So, because once we start working in these interior areas, you're going to lose the lawn areas.
I guess my comments would be if you can get that island planted and maybe some trees along the edge of that parking area, maybe some along there where you're not going to be disturbing anything very much anyway. And that island right in front of the entranceway.
We just need to think about irrigation as well. Once we get into an area, we need to make sure we're irrigating. We've got that in place too. And that's another system that we could be working on this fall, is to...
And the other thing, I don't want to keep talking about daylilies, but they can be moved anytime if you know where they're going.
Yeah.
Right. And September would probably be a better time, or for that date to, if we were going to plant out that island, is to get the daylilies in. Just that it's nice to get them in, not, a few days before a show, open house, because they would like some water to get perked up, and because they don't always look great after they're planted.
But they won't look great this year anyway.
Right.
But I'm digging them, people are buying them.
Yep.
They're going and they're in flower. So I'll just wait to hear from you as to when you're going to need them and where they're going to be planted and who's planting them. I'll dig them and deliver them.
Yeah, I think one of the concerns that I heard walking through with Hayden and Craig was just sort of just adding to the cost when we're hitting little areas and we're having to clean up after ourselves, and sort of the damage control, which just adds cost to the project. So I think that was one of the concerns. And plus, my thinking about just the new pavement, which no one wants to destroy any of that. Waited so long for that last piece to go in. So those are my questions. Well, the other big question is, you received the documents that I sent?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
We read those over
Questions?
this morning. Do you have some questions on that?
Let's take this piece, but that's your copy.
This is our copy.
You gonna leave one that's mounted on the board?
Yes, that one's good, yeah. That's good, actually. I'll see if I can have the whole thing sent to you as a...
Dorothy has had a chance to, Commissioner Solomon had a chance to look at your contract or scope of services. And I have some questions also. We've got something in here regarding septic system evaluation. What's that?
Oh, those are just things that are not, were not included really in anything that I needed to do, so.
Why would we be looking at septic system? Is that for drainage?
No, just things that are not included, so just a list of
Is
things.
that just kind of standard procedure for you? Terms and notes?
Right. It's just things that I have in the agreement that we, right. So those are things that basically we don't need to address.
Okay.
Or that are billable if I need to do that, any of these things. So, but I don't think I do.
With regard to the non-refundable fee upon execution, is that what you're saying is the amount of work you've already done?
Right. Typically, if I was to do a design, I would take a deposit beforehand. So I just plugged in that amount of the invoice that I gave you, that I did send you, which I have another copy if you need that.